What's going on, fellas? It's your main man back on the scene with another video. I like to talk about the money game every now and then because, of course, you cannot live without money. And this development can drastically alter your life if you live in the U.S. And as you see here, and this channel here, he's a gold man, so he's going to be biased towards gold. But this is true. There are countries trying to dump the dollar as a reserve currency. And if that happens, hyperinflation could set in and all that. And that won't be good for us. We're going to check out a couple videos. And I don't know what the answer is. Maybe just to get into gold, or which I think you probably should buy some gold, and crypto. Maybe a combination of both. I think you should definitely move your money into something that's not going to be affected by this situation. And the reason why people are doing that, or countries I should say, is they are tired of being bullied by the U.S. Sanctions, every time you want to play their game, sanctions, assassinations, all kinds of stuff. If the imperialism is going to come to a screeching halt, I would say. Possibly. We don't know what the U.S. has up their sleeves, but it's not looking good. There's not too much they can do because China has caught up. There's supposed to be, they predict there's going to be like 3 billion people in Africa. And China's doing a lot of infrastructure, construction in Africa, South America, Southeast Asian countries, stuff that the U.S. wouldn't do. It's not looking good, guys. I think the U.S. has seen its best days. So let's check out a couple of these videos. Yeah.
Standard. This is my evidence that I think is proof that the death of the dollar is coming, and it's coming shortly. Nixon ended Bretton Woods, and we went on the dollar standard. Then the first nail in the coffin is Iraq sells oil in euros. The crisis of 2008, and we added 1.25 trillion to our base money in the United States. As we add to the base currency, people
read that.
Get worried about inflation. They start rushing toward gold and silver. Iran ends oil.
So a lot of the conflict with Iran is about this and oil. I think Britain was the one that really created the problem, allegedly.
Oil sales in dollars, and they're taking commodities in trade for oil. They're taking, in Turkey, they take the local currency and then buy gold in Turkey and export the gold to Iran. So they're basically selling oil for gold. They do the same thing with India. QE2, quantitative easing, that's more currency printing in the United States.
This is not good. This is what I fuss about printing money, because there's nothing to back it.
Libya, China and Russia bypassed the dollar. They did.
And to talk about Libya, the reason why, allegedly, they smoked Gaddafi was because he was trying to build an African dollar based on natural resources.
Bilateral trade agreement where they hold each other's currency and they do direct debt settlement without having to wire transfer U.S. dollars. Chinese president just recently said that the dollar as the world's reserve currency is a product of the past. Utah recognized silver and gold as money. China and Iran bypassed the U.S. dollar with a bilateral trade agreement.
See what's going on? Look at the pattern.
Venezuela repatriates its gold. China and Japan trade directly. India and Japan bypass the U.S. dollar. Russia and Iran trade directly. Iran sells India oil for rupees and commodities. China and Brazil trade directly. Swiss citizens demand gold repatriation. African countries ban the dollar. In Zambia, you can go to jail if you use U.S. dollars.
Let's take this one out. Robert Kiyosaki.
And it's about what Japan and Mexico, if and when they join the BRICS, the Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. And the reason I think that's probably the best I've ever done so far with Andy was its financial literacy. Do you speak the language of the banks? And that's the most important thing right now. Do you speak the same language the banks are speaking? So what was financial?
You heard that, guys? Learn that language.
Emergency podcast number 2. What's the significance of Japan and Mexico contemplating or already joining the BRICS?
And so Mexico has formally applied. The rumor is Japan, Australia, and New Zealand are contemplating. If I had to sum it up, Robert, I guess I would say something to the extent that what it really symbolizes is that the United States and their actions have done more to destroy itself.
You hear that? Pay close attention, guys.
In the past few years than any external enemy could have ever done, because we weaponize our source of power, which is the US dollar. And we have driven most of the world away from it as a result. And the majority of the world's populations reside in the areas that comprise the BRICS, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the Belt.
Remember what I said. There's going to be 3 billion people in Africa. Africa has the fastest birth rate. China has over 1 million. India has, a billion. India has over 1 billion. And what do we have, like, what, almost 400 million? There's no comment with that.
Belt Road Initiative and the Eurasian Economic Union, this growing group of people that are rallying together against this type of hegemony, this type of, as you called it last time, bullying, and the perception of hypocrisy. And they are rallying away from the West. And really that's what it talks about.
Not too long ago, I saw a video of, I forgot what African country it was, but they were saying that the West's relationship with Africa did not benefit Africa. China just slid in.
Ramifications of what really does that mean if we lose the petrol reserve status? And that's kind of what number 2 and number 3 talk about. Number 2 was it's happening, and I guess today we would talk about what happens when it does happen and what is it that is happening.
Yeah, so it's pretty much a wrap on that. That's what I'm saying, guys. Get ahead of the game. Don't get caught slipping.
Please listen to emergency podcast number 2 because you'll learn some languaging there. There's a lot to learn, like, we didn't go over this, but Triffin's dilemma and Gresham's laws and all this stuff. America has been violating all of these laws of money for all these years, and the world says we've had enough of this. So they're joining the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. And
that's when your arrogance gets the best of you.
And he's pointing out that means 70% of the world's population that used to use the dollar are going to take this and say, we don't want it anymore. And so there's going to be quadrillions of dollars coming back.
70% of the world's population live in those countries. You can see the implications of this.
And the ramifications of that are possibly, and I hope it doesn't happen, but it's called hyperinflation. That this thing goes to trash. This becomes toilet paper, this little dollar here, because there's so much of it out there. And when 70% of the world's population says, we're not going to use this anymore, aloha, what does that mean to the world? Which brings up number 3. And it's the Wile E. Coyote moment. And again,
I never liked that cartoon because he never caught up to him. The Roadrunner, that is.
I'm not worried about you guys who have listened to 1, 2, and now 3. But what about the person who's fat, dumb, and happy and thinks, oh, don't worry, the Fed's got our back, the economy is the best, we'll be fine. You guys are just, you're Chicken Little, saying the sky is falling. It's not falling. It's going to be fine. What happens when your neighbor comes knocking on your door because their kids are starving?
we'll wrap it up there. Definitely keep your eyes on this. There's look at the money channels on YouTube. They're all talking about it. I think it's a good idea to keep your eye on the rich men because they know what's up. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Like, share, subscribe, watch your wallets, and I'll see you guys in the next video.